A club meeting, how to perform rules for best practices and provide a high quality meeting for your members. This presentation is based on Toastmasters International publications, A Toastmaster Wears Many Hats, and Meeting Roles and Responsibilities from the Successful Club series. Toastmasters club meetings provide an opportunity for members to learn and practice communication and leadership skills by assuming a variety of roles. Each meeting role has a unique set of responsibilities and skills. You can explore them. Members join a Toastmasters club for a safe place to practice presentations based on the Toastmasters educational program pathways, and most importantly, receive a positive, helpful evaluation that will help them achieve their goals. Their goals might include improving public speaking skills, gaining confidence while presenting, overcoming the fear of public speaking, practicing networking skills within a small group, improving their online presence, learning or practicing leadership skills, learning how to run an efficient meeting that begins and ends on time. Now, it's important that your club work hard to maintain a specific number of speakers at every meeting. In a 1-hour meeting, for example, 2 or 3 speakers is effective. If your meeting goes for an hour and a half, 4 or even 5 speeches is entirely possible. Your meeting should focus on prepared speeches and effective evaluations. Your meeting should focus on prepared speeches and effective evaluations. One more time. Your meeting should focus on prepared speeches and effective evaluations. A few table topics at every meeting will give the opportunity for a few members, and especially guests, to practice the type of speech we practice most often, impromptu speaking. An essential part of an effective meeting is to recognize the effort of members several times during a meeting. Toastmasters International depends on you to carry forward its emphasis on recognition of member achievements. Do you want your current members to stay a member of your club? Do you want your guests to join your club instead of finding the one that fits them? You can make your club fit human needs by simply instilling a generous recognition program. You may recall Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In this analyzation of human needs, the first needs to be met are necessities: air, water, food, sleep, etc. Once those are met, we consider our safety needs: personal security, a job, health, property. Then we must have love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. Our highest level is esteem needs: respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, freedom. The highest level is self-actualization. This is the desire to become the best version of yourself possible. As a guest sitting in your club meeting, I see that you award ribbons and certificates, and you praise members for their achievements. My brain desires this kind of recognition. I want to belong to this club. I want to be part of this club's family. As a member of your club, I want to stay part of this family of Toastmasters who, like me, are striving to become a better version of themselves. An essential part of an effective meeting is to recognize the effort of members several times during a meeting. What age groups are part of your club? In order for your club to continue to exist, you need to attract members as young as age 20. That's Generation Z, through baby boomers. The largest group in the workforce today is millennials. In a 2017 survey, Deloitte reported that millennials are less concerned with financial benefits, as they prefer to engage with work that has meaning, purpose, and wider societal benefits. Millennials' interest in corporate social responsibility, or CSR, means that this generation is looking to develop and use their skills for the greater good, striving to uphold principles of altruism. CSR refers to organizations' initiatives towards social and environmental well-being. Essentially, millennials desire to be part of something bigger, and this forms a large portion of their motivation to work. Is your club relating the communication and especially the leadership skills that Toastmasters membership provides, and that they can help them in the workplace? In a separate study in 2012, direct manipulation of the neurotransmitter dopamine significantly impacts the effort expenditure for a rewards task. In other words, bestowing rewards on others makes those watching want to earn rewards too. Wonder why it's hard to get a speaker for your meeting? Start bestowing best speaker ribbons and see if you get more members volunteering to speak. It's a reward cycle. You get a squirt of dopamine every time you get a positive response. Once you get a reward, you want to get another one. An essential part of an effective meeting is to recognize the effort of members several times during a meeting. Here are a few of the rewards your club can purchase from toastmasters.org/shop to help retain members by recognizing their accomplishments. Now, in a virtual meeting, there's a download for best speaker, best evaluator, and best topic that you can send to attendees via chat. Now, they can either accept their award or they can put that behind their screen for the remainder of the meeting. You might also use a picture of an award to bestow to your member as a slide award. The effect is still the same. One member is being recognized, and all members get a squirt of the happy drug dopamine. The result is that you retain members through a psychological function that is controlled autonomically just by your simple act of recognition. Remember that recognition increases retention. Let's take a look at each of the roles in a high-quality meeting now. The main duties of the Toastmaster are to coordinate and conduct the entire meeting. And they introduce participants, and they act as a genial host. The Toastmaster sets the tone for the meeting. This task is generally reserved for members who are quite familiar with the club and its procedures. Serving as a Toastmaster is an excellent way to practice planning, preparation, organization, time management, facilitation, motivation, and team building skills as you strive to make the meeting one of the club's best. Now, prior to the meeting, what does the Toastmaster do? Communicate with the Vice President Education for a list of members scheduled to speak or fulfill the meeting. Sometimes this is done prior to the meeting. They can confirm any special theme for the meeting and any program changes that might have occurred since the agenda was sent out. Reach out to the topics master to review their responsibilities and provide them with a list of members. Now, some of those members aren't on the agenda, so the topics master can schedule them to participate as speakers, or you can even put them in meeting roles. The Toastmaster can communicate with all speakers in advance to remind them that they're scheduled to speak. In some clubs, this is done by the Vice President of Education. Based on your club policy, you may be responsible for creating an introduction for each speaker. Take time to confirm each speaker's speech title, the project, the time requested, and anything interesting to include in your introduction of them. Prepare an introduction for each speaker. Confirm the general evaluator for the meeting. Encourage them to contact other members of the evaluation team, the speech evaluators, topics master, timer, grammarian, and counter. And of course, review the responsibilities for the meeting. Prepare remarks to bridge the gaps between program sections. Remember that serving as Toastmaster is one of the most valuable experiences in your club. The assignment requires careful preparation to facilitate a well-run meeting. Now, what does the Toastmaster do as they arrive at the meeting? Well, they should arrive early to complete any last-minute details. They should check with the speakers to address any last-minute changes. The Toastmaster should sit near the front of the room and ask that speakers do the same for quick and easy access to the lectern. What should they do during the meeting? Preside with sincerity, energy, enthusiasm, and decisiveness. They should strive to begin and end the meeting on time. You may have to make adjustments to schedule during the meeting to accomplish this task. Ensure that each part of the meeting adheres to the established schedule that's posted on the agenda. You may have to cut short the table topics, that's why they're in the middle, or maybe lengthen them if a speaker fails to show. The Toastmaster leads the applause before and after the table topics session, each prepared speech, and the general evaluator's remarks. They introduce each speaker. After your introduction, remain near the lectern. Once the speaker takes their place, go ahead and return to your seat. You introduce the general evaluator as you would any speaker. They are responsible for introducing other members of the evaluation team, though. You introduce the topics master. At the conclusion of the speaking portion of the program, request the timer's report. If your club awards a best speaker for the meeting, go ahead and collect the vote. While votes are tallied, you might invite comments from guests and make announcements, or you can move the meeting on to the table topics master. Present awards at the end of the meeting if that's your club's protocol. In some clubs, the president will do that to close the meeting out. The table topics session is the portion of the meeting designed to give every member and guest of the club an opportunity to speak for a minute or two. The topics master is responsible for preparing and issuing an original creative topic or topics. Each speaker may be given an individual subject or presented with a choice of subjects from which they choose or draw at random. Serving as topics master supports the leadership skills, including planning, preparation, time management, and facilitation. What does the topics master do prior to the meeting? Confirm any scheduled meeting theme with the Toastmaster. If one has been selected, choose topics that coordinate well with that theme. If there isn't a theme, choose a wide selection of topics. Avoid repeating table topics from recent meetings. They can create a list of speakers, evaluators, the general evaluator, and the Toastmaster for the meeting, so you can call on other members first. Use the agenda to do this. If time permits, call on participants already scheduled to speak, but otherwise don't. Don't call on speakers or evaluators unless you must. During the meeting, the topics master, when introduced, briefly state the purpose of the table topics session, announce your topics, and keep your remarks brief but enthusiastic. If the club has a word of the day, encourage your speakers to use it in their responses. Review the maximum time allowed for each speaker's response, and of course remind the members of the timing signal if the timer hasn't already done so. State your question or topic and randomly select a member or guest to respond. Don't call on guests first. Call on a seasoned member and then your guest. Working through members randomly supports the impromptu nature of table topics. Keep your comments short. Your job is to give others a chance to speak. Check the printed agenda for time allotted to table topics and adjust the number of your questions or topics to end your segment on time. Even if you start late, adjust your time so the meeting ends at the time established on the agenda. If your club presents a Best Table Topics Speaker Award, ask the timer at the end of the table topics session to report those eligible for the reward. If a member goes over, sometimes clubs will disqualify them. Other times the timing is ignored in some clubs. Invite members to vote for the Best Table Topics Speaker and pass their votes to the Sergeant at Arms or whoever the vote counter is in your club. If the club has a table topics evaluator, ask for his or her report and then return control of the meeting to the Toastmaster. The general evaluator is the member who evaluates everything that takes place throughout the meeting. The general evaluator role provides excellent practice in leadership skills such as critical thinking, planning, preparation, organization, time management, motivation, and team building. The general evaluator is responsible to the Toastmaster of the meeting. General evaluators are responsible for the evaluation team, which consists of the timer, grammarian, counter, and speech evaluators. When prompted to conduct the evaluation section of the meeting, stand at the lectern and introduce each speech evaluator. Afterward, thank each person for his or her efforts. Traditionally, there's one evaluator for each prepared speech, but this isn't essential. As members, you are free to set a procedure that's effective for your club. Each evaluation should be brief, yet complete. If you are short-handed, for example, one member may evaluate all the speakers. Again, if short-handed, you might also combine a speech evaluator with the counter, or a speech evaluator with a grammarian. At the conclusion of the evaluation section of the meeting, you return control to the Toastmaster. The general evaluator does not evaluate the speaker. They do not recap the speech content. The speech evaluator is the only one that does this. Ensure that the individual evaluators have the materials they need to complete the evaluation for members who are speaking or fulfilling club leadership roles at the meeting. Ensure that speech evaluators understand the criteria for the speech, the level the speaker is on, and are comfortable fulfilling the role. Greet all evaluators. If one is absent, consult with your VPE, your VP Education, to arrange a substitute. Check with the grammarian for any word of the day. Verify each speaker's time and notify the timer. Sit near the back of the room for a better view of the meeting and participants. Here are a few things to consider for your report on the meeting as a whole. So as general evaluator, you might consider, did the meeting start on time? Are all roles filled prior to start? Did everyone show up who's listed on the agenda? Was the room set up ahead of the meeting start? Was the room conducive to a professional meeting place? Media ready to go and working properly? Did the Toastmaster ask the audience to vote for best speaker without prompting? Did the topics master ask the audience to vote for best topic speaker without prompting? Did they make a list of speakers and recapped it for the audience prior to the vote? Were bottles of water, brochures, name tags, pens, etc. set out ready for the start of the meeting? Were the guests introduced at the beginning of the meeting? Was the guest book offered to guests prior to the meeting to capture their contact information? Were name tags available for all members? Were the counter, grammarian, and timer reports detailed and brief? Did officers greet all the guests? Did the meeting open smoothly? Was each role player defined by their role? Were guests offered a table topic? Did the general evaluator ask the audience to vote for the best evaluator without prompting? Yes, you can report on your own downfalls. Let's move on to the counter. The purpose of the counter is to note unnecessary words and sounds used by members who speak during the meeting. Words or phrases that may be used inappropriately or unnecessarily include and, well, but, so, and, you know. Sounds may include Serving in the counter role provides an excellent opportunity to practice listening skills. You can download this item 675A from Toastmasters.org. Now, what does the counter do prior to the meeting? Prepare a brief explanation of the duties of the counter for the benefit of guests. Make a list of all the participants listed on the agenda, ready to record each like, you know, or any other filler words used by each speaker. Add guest names and topic speakers as needed. What should the counter do as they arrive at the meeting? Be prepared to take notes as people speak during the meeting. You may need to use the counter's log shown here, provided by your club. The Sergeant at Arms probably carries it, and you should go to the Sergeant at Arms and ask for this. It is item 675A. When introduced, explain your role as counter. Throughout the meeting, listen to the speakers and note unnecessary words, sounds, and pauses. Tally the sounds or words each person uses throughout the meeting. When called on by the general evaluator during the evaluation section, you may stand near your chair, or maybe you sit in your club and give your report. The counter changes for each meeting. The report would sound like this. John Doe, 3 ums, 3 likes. Mary McGuire, 14 ahs, 2 ums. Joan Davis, 1 but, and 1 so. It isn't how many times they say it so much as they have said it. A hallmark of effective speakers is the ability to express themselves within a specific amount of time. Members rely on the timer to pace speeches and practice adhering to a time frame. The timer is also responsible for tracking every part of the meeting agenda. To fulfill the role of the timer, you must know each presenter's speech length. This should be listed in your agenda. In Pathways, speeches range in length from a short report of 2 to 3 minutes to a much longer speech of up to 20 minutes. It is the timer's responsibility to confirm the length of the speeches being presented before the start of each meeting. That way there are no surprises. The Toastmaster of the meeting will call on you to explain the timing rules at the start of the meeting. Be clear and concise as you describe your duties and report times to the club. The timer's role is fundamental to the success of every meeting. To help your club keep the timer's description to an effective minimum, download item 675E from Toastmasters.org or take a picture of this slide and type it out for your timer to read. There is a timer app that you can download for the timer to use individually or even display on an iPad or tablet for the speaker to see as they speak. It can also be used digitally on a separate device that the timer controls for your virtual meetings. The responsibilities of the grammarian are to introduce new words to members, comment on the language used during the course of the meeting, and to provide examples of good grammar and word usage. What do they do prior to the meeting? They select a word of the day. Choose a word to help members build their vocabularies and that they can incorporate into everyday conversation. Don't get wild and crazy with a 16-syllable word or something that will never ever be used. They can prepare a brief description of the grammarian's duties for the benefit of guests. When they read their description, it helps the meeting stay on time. They can communicate the word of the day for inclusion in the agenda or maybe develop a visual aid. Include the word, the part of speech, such as a verb, noun, adjective, or adverb, a definition of the word, and of course, use it in a short sentence or two. It doesn't hurt to post that on the lectern or, if it's a virtual meeting, on the whiteboard. Upon arrival at the meeting, the grammarian can place any visual aid at the front of the room where it can be seen by everyone. Maybe write it on the whiteboard, post it on the lectern, or if a digital meeting, you can put it on the whiteboard there or have a separate screen for it. Of course, be prepared to take notes as people speak during the meeting. You may need to use the grammarian's log provided by your club. I would say the Sergeant-at-Arms should carry plenty of these forms so that the grammarian can go collect it from the SAA. During the meeting, when introduced, announce your word of the day. In most clubs, you'll go forward and stand at the lectern and talk about your word of the day. State the part of the speech, the definition, use it in a sentence or two, and invite everyone speaking during the meeting to use it. Briefly explain the role of grammarian. Having it written down helps the meeting stay on time. Throughout the meeting, listen to each speaker's word usage. Write any awkward use or misuse of the language that you catch, such as incomplete sentences or incorrect grammar, with a note of who erred. Create a list of members who used the word of the day or a form of it, and note those who used it correctly. When called on by the general evaluator during the evaluation section, you may stand near your chair and give your report. Offer examples of correct usage in every instance in which there was a misuse of grammar. You might want to carry a thesaurus or a dictionary with you. Maybe the club owns those already. Report the use of creative language and announce who used the word of the day or a form of it correctly, of course. But what if you're a table topic speaker? Table topics helps develop your ability to organize your thoughts quickly and respond to impromptu questions or topics. The table topics section of the meeting usually follows the prepared speech presentation because it can be shortened or lengthened in order to make the meeting end on time. The Toastmaster of the meeting introduces the topics master, who gives a brief description of the purpose of table topics. The topics master states the question or topic briefly, and then calls on a member or guest at random to respond. Each table topic speaker receives a different topic or question. As a table topic speaker, you may stand next to your chair, or in some clubs, move to the lectern to give your response, depending on the policy of your club. The topics master will specify the allotted time for responses. In some clubs, it's 1 to 2 minutes. In other clubs, it may be 2 to 3 minutes. But what if you are a speaker? A major part of every Toastmasters meeting revolves around 2 or more scheduled speakers. Let me say that again. A major part of every Toastmasters meeting revolves around 2 or more scheduled speakers. Members prepare their speeches based on projects in the education program called Pathways. Giving a prepared speech provides an excellent opportunity to practice your communication and leadership skills, including planning, organization, and time management. The suggestions here are designed to help you enhance your experience before, during, and after you deliver your speech. Now, prior to the meeting, check the meeting schedule for your time to speak. Begin working on your speech enough in advance to allow time for research, organization, and most importantly, rehearsal. If you plan to give a speech based on a Pathways project, be sure to make use of the project checklist provided. It'll give you a comprehensive overview of each step you need to accomplish to complete your project. Write down a speech introduction, or ensure that your Toastmaster of the meeting prepares one for you. For more information, request the name of your evaluator. Depending on your club, you may need to contact the general evaluator, Toastmaster, or VPE for that information. Communicate with your evaluator about your project and the speech you'll be presenting. If possible, email the evaluation resource for your Pathways project. Email that to your evaluator. Now, some clubs have a form that they use to ensure that every speech is positive and helpful, and that's okay too. Be sure to discuss your goals and any personal concerns about your speaking skills with your evaluator. Emphasize the areas that you're working on or that you'd like your evaluator to know. You may also choose to bring a printed version of your Pathways evaluation resource to your meeting. Now, upon arrival at the meeting, well, you should arrive early so you can check the microphone, lighting, or any props or equipment that are needed for your speech if you're going to use those. Sit near the front of the room for quick and easy access to the lectern. If you have a printed version of your evaluation resource, provide your evaluator with that resource. What do you do during the meeting? Give your full attention to the speakers at the lectern. Avoid studying your speech while someone else is talking. When you are introduced, walk with confidence to the lectern. After you finish your speech, wait for the Toastmaster to return to the lectern before taking your seat. Does your club use a handshake, a fist bump, a bow, a head nod? Wait for that. During your speech evaluation, listen for helpful advice that will assist you in delivering better speeches in the future. Take notes. After the meeting, when your evaluator returns your written evaluation to you, ask them any questions that you might have about your scores or any of the comments that they've written. Take a moment to review any evaluations or comments that you receive from other club members in the form of written notes. Some clubs provide a form for the audience to write notes. Request feedback from club members on Basecamp and read through any feedback that has been posted. If you've completed all the requirements for a level and you're ready to move on, send that level completion request to your VPE so you can get credit for it. This is very important to the progress of your club. Serving as a speech evaluator is an opportunity to practice leadership skills, including listening, critical thinking, providing feedback, and motivation. At first, it can be intimidating to provide feedback. Always remember that the most important benefit of Toastmasters for members is the honest, fair, and supportive evaluation of their presentations and leadership accomplishments. Make use of the Pathways evaluations to help you clearly identify where speakers succeed and where there's room for continued growth and improvement. For each presenter you evaluate, find a few things they did well and mention those in your oral evaluation. Your purpose is to help the member be more self-confident and improve their speaking skills. It also helps if you'll mention something that they did, but that could be polished up a little bit. Remember to be positive and helpful. Don't review the content of their speech. We were all there, we all heard it. When you have the opportunity to provide feedback for a member fulfilling a leadership role, your goal is to help that member become more effective so they're better able to achieve their goals. Offering support for what they did well and fair, and supportive feedback in a positive and helpful way will help them move toward that result. The most effective evaluators make themselves aware of the member's skill level, their habits, their mannerisms, as well as their progress to date whenever possible. That's why it's a great idea to list their level and the speech number from that level in the club agenda so that everyone, and especially the evaluator, knows what level they're working on. You wouldn't evaluate somebody working on a level 5 the same way you would evaluate somebody working on a level 1. Prior to the meeting, communicate with the member you'll be evaluating for information about the project they're completing. Review the Pathways evaluation resource on Basecamp or the one that's provided to you by the member. It might also be helpful to take just a moment to revisit the content in the Pathways evaluation and feedback project to review strategies for providing feedback and completing an evaluation. The Gluck Fellows Program of the Arts at UC Riverside offers the following on how to be a great audience member. First, be a great audience member requires respect. Respect for the presenter, fellow members, and for yourself. The success of a presentation depends in part on the audience members. When you help create a supportive and focused atmosphere, you help create the best experience possible for everyone involved. One of the most basic elements of being a great audience member, and one of the most important skills anyone can learn, is listening. Remember, everything you do and say has an effect on your presenter. When you're watching a live presentation, the presenter can hear and see you. Please avoid activities that will distract from the presentation. Help the presenter give the presentation that you deserve by not talking, eating, or drinking, or looking at your phone during the presentation. This happens most often during online meetings. And please make sure that all cell phones are turned off. If you enjoyed yourself, please feel free to clap heartily at the end of the presentation to show your appreciation. Also, feel free to ask questions about the presentation. If you don't feel comfortable asking your questions in front of others, ask the presenter after the presentation is over, after the meeting is over. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Now, if you see or hear something during the presentation that you especially like, let the presenter know after the presentation or even on an evaluation form. They appreciate every single comment you can give them in feedback. Keep in mind that each live presentation is an entirely unique experience. What you're participating in will never occur the same way twice. Above all, enjoy yourself. The role of the introducer is not required, but it is found in some clubs. Most often, it is the Toastmaster who introduces the speaker. A good introduction paves the way for a positive experience for the speaker and for the audience. It's the responsibility of the introducer to develop an introduction for each speech and present it well to the club. An introduction requires almost as much preparation as a full speech. Prior to the meeting, contact each speaker that you'll introduce to collect relevant information about the speech and about the speaker. Prepare your introduction or ask the speaker to prepare one for you to read. It should be 45 to 60 seconds in length. When you arrive at the meeting, greet your speakers that you'll be introducing and confirm the title of their speeches and any pertinent information that may have changed. Select a seat near the front of the room for quick and easy access to the lectern. And during the meeting, introduce each speaker. After your introduction, remain near the lectern. Once the speaker takes their place, you can return to your seat. Has your club gone through a Moments of Truth session? This is the very best way to take an honest look at what your club is doing compared to the best practices that Toastmasters International has in mind. You can download a copy at toastmasters.org. So, to conduct a session for your club during a meeting, make 6 copies. Divide your members and guests into 6 groups, and if possible, have one officer lead each group. If not, a leader will emerge. Each group considers a different subtitle on the page. For example, one group will consider each bullet point under the topic First Impressions. A second group will consider the bullet points under the next subtitle Membership Orientation, and so on. Allow about 20 minutes for groups to carefully and honestly consider and discuss how your club treats each point. At the end of 20 minutes, have the leader of the group tell the entire group what they found. Have the club secretary record any helpful tips for improvement, and then discuss them at the next board meeting. Implement the ones that will help your club improve club meeting quality. Thank you for attending this session. Please send questions and comments to me at toastmaster@peoplepc.com. My name is Carol Crouse, and I hope you've enjoyed this session.